Inspiration Forge.
Welcome to Inspiration Forge. This is John, aka the Angry Dwarf. Let's take a look at what we're building today. Today we're going to be looking at how to build one of these setups. Really easy to do, just standing stones. All we're going to be using is foam core to build this. And as you can see, everything from just really small icons to something you can actually put. Sorry, it may be hard to see in this light, but you can put a light inside that sort of add a shimmer to it, to ones that are attached by magnets. So there's a variety of things that you can play around and do with these kinds of things, simple scatter terrain pieces that you can put together. Ones you can build without bases that'll stand up on their own. So let's take a look at how we can put these together. First step is to get some foam core. In this case I used a lot thicker than I'd been using previously. This is 1.5 inches. Took a little bit longer to cut through. From there it's just a matter of randomly cutting up some pieces and starting to shave them down so they look a little bit more rock-like and not quite like they've been carved directly by a machine. Sort of looked at them for some inspiration. That notch sort of gave me some inspiration to work a little bit. I scavenged a few scraps as well that looked promising. And then decided that they really needed some sort of runes or carvings on them to make them stand out even more. So here I am just putting the carvings in pencil to begin with, and then decided that just pencil alone probably didn't make it pop enough, and I have a soldering iron available. So the next step is going to be to take that soldering iron and just go over the pieces that have the runes on them and make them stand out a little bit more. Now when you do this, you are going to be burning the insulation, which produces a toxic gas. So make certain you're doing this outside, or in my case I had a large window open beside me and a fan blowing right across me and blowing all that gunk out the window. Now this can be done just by carving a little bit deeper yourself, using a hot nail or wood burning kit. There's a variety of ways that you can sort of burn this or carve this deeper yourself. This just happened to be the easiest way that I had available to make something a little bit more prominent. And then after doing some of them, I went back and added a few more. Once that was done, I wanted to be able to base them, and the easiest way to do this is just to add some sort of metal weight to the bottom. I didn't have any washers available, but I had a whole bunch of these old nuts. So what I did is, again, just sort of burned a hole out using the soldering iron to make enough space to embed a number of these old nuts into the bottom. And usually one large nut was enough to give this enough stability that it wouldn't tip over. Once I had a good fit, I then just glued them in with hot glue as well. After I finished completing adding weights to all of the standing stones, I used the same technique to bore out a couple of holes and install some magnets for 2 uprights and a lintel, just to be able to create sort of a portal that was also possible that you could take apart and just have them act as separate pieces. For a few of them I did attach a base, and to bridge that distance between the base and the stone I used just wood filler. You could use pretty much any type of compound here that will create enough of a texture at the bottom of a base to remove that sort of flat surface. In this case I actually used some of those old chair floor protectors. Had a few of them lying around. I thought I might try one of them as a base. So here's the Mod Podge. I just slapped this on like crazy. What I discovered was this is getting the end of my jar of mixture of black paint and Mod Podge. So it's pretty sludgy. So you'll see I'm pretty hammering this on, not just the speed of the film being sped up. I was really just going to town on this. When I'm done, I looked at it and discovered, you know what? This is really goopy in places. I need to remove some of this. So that's exactly what I did. I just used a paintbrush to dig through all of those rune carvings and maintain that detail. So I just literally went over it, picked up paint, and make certain that was okay. So the next step was dark gray. I mixed up my own dark gray and light gray because I do a lot of stones, so I have it available. This I went for about an 80 to 90% coverage. In some areas I deliberately left a little bit of the black showing through, but for the most part, even in the rune areas, I went and got that gray in there. I wanted the stone to be the most prominent color, not to really see any black for the most part. Again, impatient here. I'm not waiting very long for this to dry. I'm getting my dry brushing stuff ready. I do have a fan blowing in the background there that just lightly blowing across really helps paint dry really quickly. So I'm going right ahead with the dry brushing. You'll see that when I dry brush, I start to create a little spot there on the paper towel where I always go back to. What I'm trying to do is make certain I get paint all the way through a good portion of the bristles, and then carefully take off as much as I can on the paper towel before I go to the stones. This is not a light dry brushing though. I'm going for a pretty heavy dry brushing here, so I'm going to keep going back to get enough paint on the brush because I'm looking for almost a white gray finish, leaving for the most part just a little bit of that dark gray behind in the runes and a sort of a speckled texture in the background. So in one case you'll see I end up leaving way too much paint on the brush. There it is right there. What I did is I just worked that. Just kept coming back to it, picking some more paint out there, blending it all the way up into the other. And when it's done, you really can't notice it. Right now it still stands out, but when the whole piece is done, a mistake like that, you can hide for the most part. If you really were concerned about it, you could go back and overpaint it with the dark gray and start again. Honestly, it's a piece of stone, and for the most part, mistake like that, I'm pretty happy to cover it up and blend it in and leave it like that. I started with that particular piece because the top was totally dry. The other one, the top wasn't even completely dry when I started dry brushing this. By the time I'm dry brushing all the edges, the top was dry enough that I went ahead and dry brushed it. I'm not much for waiting if I don't have to be, so there I am just going at it. Although this is sped up, it's not sped up that much. I really do paint my dry brushing pretty quickly, hammer away at it, and there we go. Honestly, for me, this is one of the most enjoyable parts of the whole craft, is when you get to that dry brushing and things just start to pop. And for the last bit here, this is Lex Supra and his buddies taking on some golden monsters. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please click like and subscribe, and hammer that bell. If you'd like to find more of my content, you can check me out on Facebook. If you like some merchandise, I have a store on TeePublic. Both of those are under the Angry Dwarf. And if you're at all interested in fantasy maps or would like to commission a map, you can check out my site, williamsonsmaps.com. This is John, aka the Angry Dwarf, signing off.